Naka, I does come like Shaka, Zulu. I might pop like over red and baka when I'm proper. I dibba dibble dabble with my women's. I drop a Def Jam as if my name is Russell Simmons Geraldo. Shisha Karamba. The jibbity jibba jabba Joe is with the yippity yowza. I got crazy small sight that kid Doogie Howser. But wickedy wax that scalp like a bird over your 5.
EFX featuring Dre and Scoob, Brooklyn, New York, Teaneck, New Jersey, active since 1988. Hip-hop is filled with pioneers who changed the game but never got to fully enjoy the rewards of what they helped create. Their influence, though undeniable, gets buried under new waves of artists who took inspiration from them, sometimes without even knowing it. EFX is one of those groups. They came into the game with a style so unique, so instantly recognizable, that it shook the early 90s to its core. Their rapid-fire iggity flow wasn't just a gimmick.
And their rhyme style, bubbly bubbly.
It was a whole new way of rapping, a technical showcase that blended speed, creativity, and tongue-twisting syllables into something never heard before. And yet, despite a platinum album and a run that should have solidified them as legends, EFX's time at the top was short-lived. Today, when people talk about mumble rap, they bring up artists like Future, Playboi Carti, or Young Thug, rappers who embrace slurred, unclear lyrics that focus more on vibe than wordplay. But what if I told you that EFX was the first mumble rappers? Not in the modern sense, but in the way they pushed rap toward a style where sound sometimes mattered just as much as meaning. The difference, EFX never used their style as a crutch, it was a skill. Beneath the playful iggity flow were complex rhymes, punchlines, and sharp lyricism that set them apart. Unlike today's mumble rappers, they weren't hiding a lack of bars behind their delivery. They were doing something innovative, something exciting. Under normal circumstances, that level of innovation should have cemented them in hip-hop history, not buried them beneath it. But EFX didn't just introduce a new style, they introduced it so well that the industry ran it into the ground almost overnight. Within a year of their debut, their influence had been stretched thin by copycats and industry plants looking to cash in on the next big thing. What should have been a defining era for them instead became a race against time to prove they weren't just another rap trend. Their rapid success wasn't just a gift, it was a trap. The moment they entered the door, the game started looking for the next thing to replace them. What do you do when your own creation is used against you? For EFX, the answer wasn't simple, and the consequences would follow them for the rest of their careers. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC StuntedGrowthMusic. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. EFX, the duo of Andre Dre Watson and Willie Scoob Hines, two MCs who met while attending Virginia State University in the late 80s. Dre from Teaneck, New Jersey, while Scoob was from Brooklyn, New York. Their shared love for hip-hop led them to form a group experimenting with a fast-paced, tongue-twisting rhyme style that would set them apart from everyone else. Their name, EFX, stood for Dre's and Scoob Effects, emphasizing the unique, unpredictable way they flipped words in their verses. Their big break came when they entered an MC contest judged by EPMD's Eric Sermon. Blown away by their style, Sermon brought them into his Hit Squad crew, leading to their 1992 debut album Dead Serious. It was a massive success, but the industry's obsession with their flow would soon work against them, and their rise would prove to be much shorter than expected. Stunt number 1, the industry turned their style into a gimmick. When EFX dropped Dead Serious in 1992, their iggity flow was unlike anything hip-hop had heard before. It wasn't just a new way to rhyme, it was a skill that required breath control, precision, and lyrical dexterity. The way they manipulated words, adding playful syllables while still delivering intricate bars, made them stand out in a rap scene dominated by straightforward delivery. The industry took notice, but instead of appreciating the artistry behind it, they did what they always do, repackaged it, and ran it into the ground. Seemingly overnight, rappers and record labels scrambled to replicate EFX's new style. New artists were being pushed out with exaggerated, forced versions of the iggity flow, making it seem like a gimmick rather than innovative approach to lyricism. Even established artists from Criss Cross to Snoop Dogg dabbled in elements of their sound. What should have been a testament to their influence quickly became a problem because when something gets oversaturated, it loses its value. By the time EFX released their second album, Straight Up Suicide, in 1993, the industry had already grown tired of their own creation. The same labels that pushed rappers to copy them were now looking for the next new thing. critics started calling their sound played out, even though they were the ones who had done it best. Das EFX, recognizing the shift, tried to adapt by toning down their signature flow, but in doing so, they also lost part of what made them special in the first place. What should have cemented them as trendsetters instead turned into a case of the industry using their style against them. And once hip-hop decided the sound was old news, Das EFX found themselves in an impossible position: evolve or fade away. Stunt number 2, label pressure and creative identity crisis. The success of Dead Serious put Das EFX in a tough spot. They had already influenced an entire wave of rappers, but instead of being celebrated for their originality, they were now being pressured to change. Their label, East West Records, wanted another platinum hit, but they also knew the industry was moving on from the Iggity flow. That left Das EFX with a difficult choice: stick to what made them famous and risk sounding outdated, or switch up their approach and risk losing what made them unique in the first place. Their second album, Straight Up Suicide, dropped just a year after their debut in 1993, and the shift was already noticeable. The beats were darker, the rhymes more aggressive, and their signature Iggity flow was toned down. Although it was still lyrically strong, it didn't have the same energy that made Dead Serious stand out. The album went gold, a respectable number, but a steep drop from the platinum success of their debut. The pressure to reinvent themselves continued with their third album, Hold It Down, in 1995. By this point, Das EFX had moved further away from their original style, trying to fit into the grittier, more street-focused sound that dominated mid-90s hip-hop. The problem was that lane was already occupied by artists like Mobb Deep, The Notorious B.I.G., and Wu-Tang Clan, groups and artists who were defining the new sound of the era. Das EFX, once ahead of the curve, now found themselves struggling to keep up. Instead of being remembered as pioneers, they became victims of an industry that pushed them to evolve without giving them the space to do it naturally. Once the momentum slows down, it's almost impossible to get it back. Stunt number 3, the fall of the Hit Squad and losing their support system. In hip-hop, having the right team around you can make or break your career. When Das EFX came into the game, they had the perfect cosign: EPMD's Hit Squad. Eric Sermon and Parrish Smith were not only successful artists, but also influential figures who had the industry connections to push their crew forward. Being part of the Hit Squad meant access to top-tier production, features from label mates like Redman and K-Solo, and the kind of industry backing that could keep their momentum going. But just when Das EFX needed the support system the most, the Hit Squad fell apart. EPMD, the crew's foundation, split in 1993 after a bit of fallout between Sermon and Smith. What should have been a strong unit quickly turned into opposing camps, forcing artists to pick sides. Without that structure holding everything together, the Hit Squad crumbled, and Das EFX was left to navigate the industry on their own. The loss was more than just change in affiliation. It meant losing valuable resources, producers, and a built-in network that had helped them launch their careers. As a result, their third album, Hold It Down, in 1995 didn't have the same magic as their earlier work. While still featuring solid production from DJ Premier and Pete Rock, it lacked the unified push they once had under the Hit Squad umbrella. By the time their fourth album, Generation EFX, in 1998 dropped, they were a shell of their former selves, still talented, still respected, but no longer relevant in the fast-paced hip-hop landscape. Without a strong team behind them, Das EFX struggled to reclaim their place at the top. They had started as trendsetters, but in an industry that thrives on the next big thing, their moment had already passed. All in all, even though their growth stunt can simply come down to they weren't built for the mainstream, Das EFX had much respect on that level as well. They never compromised just to chase radio play or fit the mold of what labels wanted. Their style was pure creativity and innovation that took skill to master, but wasn't easy to evolve without losing its essence. When the industry moved on, they chose authenticity over adaptation, even if it meant fading from the spotlight. Still, their influence can't be denied. The way rappers manipulate flows today, bending words and playing with cadence, traces back to Das EFX's foundation. Even the mumble rap era, intentional or not, carries elements of what they pioneered. While their mainstream run was short-lived, their fingerprints remain all over hip-hop. Respect in the culture lasts longer than industry trends, and Das EFX will always have that. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunning. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic, and I'm out.